The Austrian army suffered many defeats at the hands of the Prussians, the French, and the Spanish in the 18th and early 19th centuries. Because of this, history mostly remembers them for this part of their military record, but was it always a poorly performing army? It's true that the Austrian army did have poor performances in the mid to late 18th century, and the early Napoleonic Wars, being defeated by Napoleon, Frederick the Great, although with some luck on that one, and the French monarchy numerous times. But early on, this wasn't always the case. And here's why. First, let's start off with one of Austria's most prestigious commanders. In the War of Spanish Succession, Prince Eugen of Savoy showed his military talent against the French and Spanish in Italy, the Rhine, and in Flanders. Some of his most notable battles being Blenheim, Malplaquet, and Belgrade. It's no wonder how this so-called noble knight earned his title. At first, he attempted to join the French army of Louis XIV, but was rejected, and thus left to Austria, participating in the relief effort to free Vienna from the Great Siege by the Ottoman Turks in 1683. By 1703, he had become president of the Imperial War Council. In the Spanish War of Succession, he played a key role in helping the Allies to victory in several battles, winning or assisting in stunning victories such as Oudenarde, a decisive victory for the Allies, Blenheim, a battle which knocked Bavarian support for France out of the war, and the Siege of Lille. Later, he would win two great battles against the Ottoman Turks at Belgrade and Piero-Vardian in the Austro-Turkish War. At Belgrade, Eugen completely surprised and ambushed the larger Ottoman force, crushing the Ottoman threat to Austria at the time. Prince Eugen is no doubt a true testament to how well the Austrian Imperial Army could perform under great leadership. Next on the list takes place during the 7 Years' War. Hey, wait, didn't the Austrians lose the 7 Years' War really badly or something? Well, yes, they did lose, but their enemy, Frederick the Great's Prussia, was extremely close to losing the war. More so than most people like to think. It got to the point that Berlin itself was doomed to fall from attacks from the Russian and Austrian armies. Near the end of the 7 Years' War, Prussia had inflicted terrible losses on the Austrians and French, but the Prussian army led by Frederick the Great also took heavy casualties and lost some huge battles as well, such as Kunersdorf, won by General Gideon and his men. Russia soon entered the war on the side of Austria, and soon both of the powers had Berlin well on their sights. It got so bad for the Prussians, Charles of Lorraine ordered Hungarian cavalry officer Andras Hadek to enter Berlin while it was poorly defended. Soon it had entered the city and met little resistance, and left the city before the Prussians arrived to retake it by force. Hadek was rewarded soon after for humiliating the Prussians by raiding their capital. Although Berlin was about to be crushed, the Russian Empress soon died, being replaced by Peter III, who had a great respect for Frederick the Great and the Prussian army and forced Russia to leave the war. Without Russia, Austria didn't want to fight the war alone once more, and essentially gave up while pressure on the Prussian army could have been applied, signing peace with Prussia by 1763, ending the war. In this instance, Prussia couldn't have been destroyed, but you can argue that Austria mostly was aided by Russian support, but that is up for debate. Either way, it displayed the Austrian capability to defeat Prussia in the 7 Years' War, which is different than what most people imagine Prussia to be, an unstoppable military state, and not one that nearly lost a war to its enemies. And finally, after losing a battle to its own drunken forces and getting clapped by Napoleon several times in several wars, success once again came to Austria at the Battle of Wagram in 1809. Although this is a brief and unfollowed success, this was the first time Napoleon was defeated in an open battle, and that is something that very few of the many commanders who fought Napoleon could say they have did during this period.
The Napoleonic Wars ended with the last of the greater triumphs of the Austrian army. Most of their military record consists of rather embarrassing defeats at this point, and would only get worse when the empire grew into the Austro-Hungarian Empire from World War I. But I hope this clears up the myth that Austria had only suffered mostly just embarrassing defeats, when in reality it had the upper hand numerous times. And as a last note, I will be leaving for National Guard basic training on June 17th, so I won't be making new content until I get back from my senior year in September. Finals are also next week and will block out my schedule. I had fun with this type of content and I hope to do more in my downtime when I get back.